Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're continuing Musical March here on Rachel's Never Seen. I'm Drew.
I'm Rachel, and it's my birthday.
This is. We're recording this on her birthday, so wish her a happy birthday and the belated birthday. I guess you want to be technical about it. But yeah, wish her a happy birthday there in the comments. She would appreciate that. She would. But yeah, we're continuing on this this film journey of ours in Musical March, and we are watching the 1975 cult classic, The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. I knew somewhat about this from an episode of Glee.
Yes.
That's all I knew about
Preface that her whole basis for anything she knew about this show came from Glee.
And now I understand why there was such a controversy about should they do the show or not, because it's kind of raunchy.
It is. It's a little raunchy.
It's certainly not appropriate for high school.
Right. Yeah. If they ever made like, what do they do with shows like Junior?
Yeah.
So it's, Rocky Horror Junior, the Rocky Horror Show. Yeah. And you can see even on Glee that they actually edited some of the songs and the lyrics that a lot of fans were upset about. I understood why. I didn't mind the edits, honestly. I thought they actually fit within that show just fine, But overall, it's like I thought they actually did a decent job with it on Glee. I really do.
Minute since I've watched it. Also, I had no point of reference. So
right, I thought they did a good job with it, but you got a dose of the full real thing.
I sure did,
and all of its terrible B-movie stuff glory. And I will tell you out of the gate, and this might answer something you have on there, I don't know, but it is intentional that the acting's a little choppy and hackneyed.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, like the characters are very stiff in who they are. You know what I mean? They're not very well developed, is what I meant to say.
So they're like shallow.
Yeah,
kind of.
because the movie is kind of a send-up. The whole show is kind of a send-up of like 1950s B science fiction horror films. And so the characters kind of act like these over-the-top stereotypes of like Brad's Mr. All-American guy.
Sure. Okay. Janice, the girl next door, whatever. And
they all have these kind of very crazy over-the-top stereotypical kind of performances. So that I always thought that was funny that that translated over, to the film very well. But yeah, that's why the whole the first song, Science Fiction Double Feature, is almost an ode to those songs, because everything they mention in there is legit.
I had so many questions about that song.
Yeah. So let's get into them. Let's see what you got.
My number one question was, who is Flash Gordon? Is that a real person? Because don't Queen have a song about him or something?
Oh boy, this is gonna be a thing, y'all. Okay, this might be a double batch episode here. Flash Gordon is an old science fiction character. I don't know if it started off as a comic, but it was definitely like a 1940s serial in theaters.
Okay.
So before television, people would go to theaters. And they would see cartoons, that we grew up seeing, the Bugs Bunny stuff, 7-minute cartoons. They would also see these serials, which would be 25, like an episode of TV, 30 minutes long. And they'd have to wait another week or another month for the next reel to come out. And Flash Gordon was one of those, science fiction ones. In 1980, there was a film made of Flash Gordon, in which Queen did the entire soundtrack to and scored it.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's where the Flash Gordon, Drew, if you could find it, put it in there. Future Drew, who's editing this, put that Flash, savior of the universe. That Flash Gordon song comes from.
Okay.
That comes from that.
I had no idea that.
Yep.
That was that. Okay.
Yeah, so Flash Gordon, yes, was a real character, yes.
So like all the people they name drop in that song
are either characters or actual people, like writers, directors, or actors.
They reference science fiction movies from the 1950s because this was supposed to be a kind of a parody of that.
It's like an ode almost.
An ode.
This movie is almost like a love letter to them. While it does kind of parody them a little bit, it's not like Airplane as an outright comedy parody.
So it was inspired.
Correct.
Would maybe be a better word than parody.
Oh,
okay.
You're a better languager than me, and you know that. So yeah, that's a better one. Yeah, I said
Okay.
languager.
I gotcha.
I know.
I'm just connecting the dots now.
Oh, yeah, no, and I going into this movie, I told you, don't look for a good plot.
Right.
In this
That's
film.
what I want to try and figure out what the plot was. Okay.
Because anybody out there, and you can trash me in the comments if you want, but Rocky Horror has no plot. It doesn't. It's a terrible plot. If it has one, it's terrible. But
I want to try and explain
you're gonna try
it.
and find it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So Brad and Janet get broke down on the side of the road.
Correct.
After they just got engaged, and they're trying to go to their friend Dr. Scott's house.
No, I think they were driving back from somewhere, and they blew the tire out. And they stopped at
Frankenstein's.
Call it the Frankenstein, but it's Frankenfurter. Yeah.
Well, there's a light on over at the Frankenstein place.
I know, because it looks like a gothic.
Oh, okay.
Like from the Frankenstein film, which you haven't seen.
No.
But it looks like that kind of thing. Like it's an old gothic looking house.
Okay, so they break down and they go knock on the door of this castle, and they get greeted by the butler, the handyman, whatever.
Yes,
riffraff, and he escorts them inside to this which we find out later is an alien party.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
And now I don't know.
There it is, right? Like, what were the aliens trying to do? They're nothing. They weren't trying to take over the world. They weren't trying to do anything.
They were trying to have a good time, man.
I guess. Like, all he wanted to do was make himself a lover. And apparently that experiment failed at least twice that we know of.
Right.
With Eddie and Rocky. And somehow that got Frank demoted. And then Riff Raff became his new commander and decided he was going to take him prisoner and then ended up killing him.
It was quite a plot twist.
Makes no sense. Like, none of it. It's like, what is happening in this? It's just, it is a movie that and a show. The show's even weirder. But
so their home planet was Transylvania, and they're from the country of transsexual?
No, I think the planet was transsexual. I think it was from the galaxy Transylvania.
Oh, sure.
I think something like whatever it is. Transsexual is
part
within
of
Transylvania.
Transylvania.
Yeah. Whatever it is, that's how it would go.
Okay.
Yeah. I told you, there's not a plot, y'all. There's not a plot.
Know. So I didn't know that Rocky was the blonde guy. I thought Rocky was Tim Curry's character.
Yeah, that happens a lot with people who've never seen it, which you would think makes sense as he's the most well known, at least in him, like his visage is the most well known from this movie. Tim Curry and a Teddy and stockings and stuff. Like everyone knows that. You may have never seen Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
But you know that.
Well, I didn't know who Tim Curry was until maybe a year or two ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's in an episode of Doctor Who, right? Because I saw a meme on the internet or something that was like, you can tell a lot about a person by where they know Tim Curry from. And I'm like, I don't know who this is. I thought he was in the episode where they're in the United States and the doctor invites everyone to his funeral.
What doctor is that?
Matt Smith.
I do not remember that.
I want to say that was him, but
we'll look it up. We'll see.
We'll
Somebody in the comments can say it for us if it's true or not.
I don't know why I have it in my head, but every time I hear Hot Patootie, I sing it like this. Hot Patootie, bless your soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. That's how it is in my head.
So there's a mashup that can be had out there, apparently. If somebody can do a mashup of Hot Patootie and Drift Away, that would be very interesting mashup.
I love mashups, so
yeah, that would be good. There's an opportunity there for somebody. That's
okay. So Eddie, I got a little bit confused. I didn't really know who Eddie was, but that was his first attempt at manufacturing a human boyfriend.
I think that Eddie. If I interpret this right, because I do get confused about where Eddie came from. I think Eddie was somebody. Like I don't think Rocky. I think he created Rocky.
Yeah.
But I think Eddie was somebody that he tried to, like, turn into his
romance
lover,
court.
like use not even court, but through science and science
change
fiction.
the way his brain
exactly.
works and be
That's why
like,
he had
I
that
love
giant
you.
scar on his head,
Okay.
because he does say he split the brain between Rocky and Eddie.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Which is why he feels like they're both disasters.
And it did seem like the one woman knew Eddie too.
Oh God.
No, Columbia.
Columbia. Thank you. Wow, it's bad for me. But yeah, Columbia, I think either dated Eddie.
I got the impression that
Eddie,
they were a thing.
Yeah, before, and that may be how Frank met Eddie, was from Columbia.
They were the first Brad and Janet.
Right. Yeah. So, except they were probably hunted instead of happened to wander upon.
Okay. And then it was later implied that they were eating Eddie for dinner.
Yep.
Okay.
One of the fun callbacks from that one is when he whips the thing off, the tablecloth off, and you see the corpse. The whole crowd screams, "Meatloaf again!" Because obviously Meatloaf plays Eddie. It's a great callback. It's a hilarious
clever.
one. Yeah.
That's clever.
Everyone goes, "Oh no, Meatloaf again!"
What? I guess I was confused about what happened to the rest of the people, because I feel like at the beginning of the movie we saw the party goers and they're watching, but then they kind of disappeared, unless I'm remembering it wrong.
No, they took off. I believe they took off when he killed Eddie.
Okay. Well, that's one way to
when Frankenfurter went in there and killed Eddie, and then he kind of stumbles back out and whatnot, and gushes over Rocky again with the reprise of I'll make you a man.
Not to be confused with I'll make a man out of you.
Do not confuse those two songs. They are very, very, very different songs.
Let's get down to business. Okay.
Very, very different.
I liked the D Medusa thing. I thought that was funny. Just D Medusa. Yeah. I thought that was how it ended. Like he turned them into statues and then just that's how he decorated his home or whatever. Right. I thought that was how it was ended. Yeah. But no, they came back and they were singing and dancing.
Dressed them all up and made them sing and dance. I love that song, Rose Tint My World. That whole run kind of into they all run together, like 3 or 4 songs together there are really cool. Rocky die? Did he die? Died.
Rocky died.
Yeah.
I didn't think he could be killed because they tried to kill him and then he kept going, right?
He kept going. I think he's just a little tougher.
Yeah.
It took a little longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said before we watched this that there was a message. Mm-hmm. And you hoped that I got it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It has something to do with trans people and like just being yourself. And
it's essentially what it is.
Nothing wrong with just being yourself.
Exactly. It's just.
I was overthinking it.
Yep. Just be you. And the message you've put up there.
Don't dream it.
Don't dream it. Be it. Is really the true message of this show is just accept yourself for who you are, and it's. I guess one way that we used to always put it was just like let your freak flag fly.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of thing.
That makes sense.
You don't have to be ashamed of who you are. Like, Brad and Janet. Like, Frank makes them discover something about themselves that they didn't know.
True. So he did sleep with them.
He slept. I don't think he slept with Janet. I think he got distracted out of there with Janet.
Okay.
But maybe he did sleep with Janet because then she said she had a taste for it when she then goes after Rocky. Touching me.
Right.
And I don't think he slept with Brad, but I think he definitely went down on Brad.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, well, there was that scene where we
and then
saw
they're sitting there smoking. Right.
So I was implied that something happened.
And it could be implied that they did go all the way. All they obviously showed, or what seemed to be shown, was him going down on him.
Okay.
But he awoken something in both of them they didn't know was there. And just the whole ending when Riff Raff and Magenta come back.
That was
in their
just
alien
the strangest plot twist.
Yeah.
Like
it just makes no sense.
Okay.
And that's where the B movie science fiction aspect of this movie comes in big time. It's those old movies in the 50s and stuff would do random shit like this all the time.
It's
You're
just like it's like they didn't know how to end it. Like,
right.
How do we do this? Let's make everyone an alien.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's bizarre.
It was.
It's bizarre. Then they transported the house.
Oh, that's right. They forgot
spaceship.
about that. They just
Yep, just lifted the house up.
Luckily, Dr. Scott and Brad and Janet got out.
They got out just in time.
Okay. It felt like an episode of the X-Files to me.
Oh, really?
Honestly, it felt like an episode. I mean, minus the singing and dancing.
Right.
But Brad and Janet were Mulder and Scully, and then they get a little off the rails, and whatever. But yeah, I don't know, it felt like an episode of the X-Files to me.
I like that. It's an interesting take.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think of the soundtrack? What'd you think of the songs and stuff like that?
They were fun. I loved them.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew a few, just like I said, from watching Glee, so I could sing along a little bit, but.
Well, I mean, Time Warp is so well known.
Time Warp is, yeah.
It's the signature song from the entire thing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's played in bars still. You know, people get up and dancing to it. You know. So.
It's just a jump to the left. I liked it when they interspersed like the narrator, and then by the end of the song, the narrator's on his desk dancing, or the criminologist, whatever.
The criminologist, yeah.
That part confused me too. So he's just like
the B. That goes right back to the B movies, where they would just have this authority figure who was kind of the narrator of what was going on. It would come back and inform you of certain things.
Okay.
And then you go back to your story and whatnot. It's straight out of that.
Okay.
It
I mean, they just didn't give him. I guess maybe that was kind of where also I felt the X-Files. Thing too is like it was like a case of his or something,
right? And that's how it was supposed to be presented.
Okay,
you know, he was going to present to you this very odd case that took place in Denton, Ohio.
It was Ohio?
Yeah, Denton, Ohio.
I've never heard of Denton, Ohio.
It probably doesn't exist. It might. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up right now.
I'm from Ohio, so that's why I got so excited.
Yeah, no, that's where it takes place.
Glee was set in Lima, in a real town.
I know Lima.
Only about 45 minutes south of where I grew up.
Ooh.
Does everyone sing in this? Like,
as far as I know, everyone did their own singing. The only one I would be questionable on is Rocky. I don't know if he did his own singing, but everyone else that I know of did their own singing on there. And the guy who played Riff Raff is the writer of the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Richard O'Brien. Yep, the guy who played Riff Raff. So, and most of I think Richard O'Brien and I know Tim Curry. And I want to say there was one other person, and I don't remember. It might be Meatloaf, were the original cast for the, I think it was a West End show first before it became a Broadway show. Well, not Broadway, but like off-Broadway show called The Rocky Horror Show. And then they turned it into a movie.
Show. What's West End show?
That's London's Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
The West End is London's Broadway.
Gotcha. So and now it also isn't off Broadway, you said?
Right. I don't think it was ever actually on Broadway. It was on one
too
of the
weird for
theaters
Broadway.
Probably.
That should be the tagline. Enjoy the show that was too weird for Broadway.
Well, I mean, it's pretty cool that it's still the longest sustained theatrical release in history. It's pretty impressive. And I told you this right after we had watched it because I had just read it that day that when Disney acquired 20th Century Fox, they bought. Rocky Horror was in that. And Disney, as they usually do, took a lot of the Fox movies and put them in the, quote, Disney vault so that they could release them whenever and make
they
make
need
their
a cash
mints.
influx.
Yeah, every 10 years they can put it out. But they chose not to do that with Rocky Horror, and they chose to leave it basically alone with its current deal of being this cheaper property that can still be released theatrically wherever, and so it can still maintain that status because the midnight showings are the backbone now of this whole thing.
So it can, on any given weekend, you could find it playing in some city across America.
You probably could. I mean, definitely in the major cities, obviously, like New York or Chicago, LA, you could find them. But Savannah had it here for a long time. Over at the Eisenhower Cinemas, which are now closed and gone, but they had it there for a long time. It was like the third Saturday, I think, of every month was Rocky Horror Night.
All right.
Yeah, they had it here for a while. I really hope that somebody else would pick it up. Like one of the independent theaters would be cool. If
well, like
if SCAD picked it up and did it once a
say
month or
Lucas
even
or
once a
something.
quarter, picked it up and did it.
I would love to go see it.
Oh,
like,
it's a show. Like it's an experience to see it with a proper audience who is seeing it. You have the callbacks. They don't let you throw rice anymore because people get hurt because dried rice hurts.
Well,
throw
it's
rice
bad for birds.
Well, this is inside.
I know,
the
but
theater.
it's got to go somewhere.
You have water guns you use and
They
toast. You
still-
throw toast when there's like a toast, and everyone throws their toasts. They give you, they give you newspapers and stuff like that, and then you have actual performers on stage while the movie is playing, performing the movie. They're not obviously saying anything; they're just lip syncing the film. But they're doing all that. It's a thing, man. It's a really neat thing to go experience.
That sounds almost overwhelming.
Yeah, you probably would be, but it's a hell of a thing. It is.
Too much stimuli.
Yeah.
Do I watch the people? Do I watch the screen? When do I? Oh, I gotta throw something. Oh, what am I supposed to say?
If it's your first time, like for most of the virgins, they just tell you to sit back and just enjoy the show.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the callbacks. Don't worry about any of that. Follow the leader if you want to, when you're supposed to squirt or throw your toast.
So they give you the squirt guns? You don't bring your own?
A lot of places start doing that now so they can control what's coming in and out.
That makes sense, because what if you have a squirt gun filled
with
vodka or a squirt gun
They usually
filled
just
with...
give you a little bag, like a token bag that has all the little stuff in there for you so that everyone has it. Mm-hmm. Including toast. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
What you doing tonight? Oh, I gotta make about 3 loaves of toast.
Why? We've sold a lot of tickets for Rocky Horror tonight. It's gonna be a long day. I gotta be just making toast all. Well, it's like nobody's eating it, so you can let it go stale.
Right, that's true. You know,
it
doesn't have to be fresh.
No, nobody's eating the damn thing. So, all right, Rocky Horror. What's your final grade on Rocky Horror here?
What did I give Rent?
You gave Rent a
7.5.
I want to say.
Rocky Horror gets a 7.8.
I'm gonna round that up to an 8.
All right, fine.
It's we only play halvesies here.
I know it. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it. Mm-hmm. Tim Curry is spectacular. His expressions, the way he gets into that character,
it's amazing.
It's just wonderful. I really enjoyed this movie.
It's such a cool movie, and you can see where its cult love comes from, and why so many people who feel like outcasts and stuff can't identify and feel like they belong to something.
I always like the underdog.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Well, next week we are watching another movie with the word horror in it, another musical, very fun musical though, called Little Shop of Horrors. Ironically enough, based on a B movie. Yes, this was a Christmas present. One of the first, it might be the first Christmas present.
The first Christmas
that she got me, and it's Little Audrey 2, who's eating a little Lego Bane there, which is just a whole different story. But yeah, that's what we're going to be watching next week. Little Shop of Horrors. That's one of my all-time favorite musicals. It really is. It's when I grew up watching, which is really weird when you watch it. Why my parents allowed like a 6 or 7-year-old to watch this movie?
So okay, well, next I was going to ask is Little Shop of Horrors translated into like a play for high school?
Yes,
we
actually put it on in high school.
I think my high school put it on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I had never seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. We put it on in our high school. It's what got me into theater. Was Little Shop of Horrors. So we'll get to that next week, and we'll see you then, folks.